Hi, I'm Joe Hyde with San Angelo Live, and with me is August Pfluger. We've interviewed him several times on our show. He's running for Congress for the Congressional District 11, just like the other two interviews we've done today. Hey, we're going to get into politics. You want to talk some politics?
Let's talk.
Okay. One of the issues that your candidate, Democrat candidate John Mark Hogue, has brought forth is this nuclear waste storage facility in Andrews, Texas, which is out there. For y'all that don't know, Andrews is near Midland. Apparently, there's been some applications by a private corporation to store highly radioactive waste. And this is the first time. Before, it was kind of like a low-level radioactive waste kind of facility. Now it's a highly radioactive waste. He mentioned one of the things, and since in your wheelhouse is national security, he mentioned that a lot of oil producers out there are concerned about that because of a terrorism threat. It's something that they could, possibly grab onto and maybe contaminate 50 to 100 wells out there. Give me your take on the Andrews facility and things like that.
Well, Joe, look on the terrorist threat out there. I have not seen intelligence to suggest that, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. But there is concern, and I think whether it's an environmental concern or the proximity, that facility has been in existence for a bit. And I think, right now the biggest issue that we're seeing is the lack of transparency that seems to have gone on.
When you describe the lack of transparency, you mean like all of a sudden the applications show up at
the
Energy Department?
First off, this is a deal that appears to have been done through the Department of Energy and then with the Texas Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I saw something from Governor Abbott where he was allegedly surprised, and maybe that position has changed a little bit. But I think everybody just needs to be informed and have the right and the due process to speak their opinions.
All right, new subject, politics.
I love it.
Healthcare politics. Here in San Angelo and also in Abilene, which is kind of adjacent to CD 11, we still have Clyde up there in Callahan County. We have Hendrick buying out its competition. We have Shannon Health buying out its competition here. It looks like in these two communities, we're going toward a nonprofit, non-taxing entity hospital business model. And one of the issues that your opponent brought up is rural health care and how we don't have enough funding to provide for the proper health care for people living in rural areas, which he would include Midland and Odessa and San Angelo and Abilene, basically non-metro areas. Healthcare policy, he suggested a single payer option, just for people who can't afford it. And it's time that we we sit there, we built Obamacare and we broke it down, and it's time to replace it with something else.
Well, it's not surprising to see the continuation of the Obamacare Affordable Care Act as a policy option for a Democrat. And look, when we're talking about rural health care in this district, it is critically important that we start to chip away and repeal the Obamacare regulations. And I spoke about it earlier today, but it is preventing physicians from providing the best care that they can at a cost that people can afford.
Give an example of that.
Well, there's any number of regulations that you have to comply with in a hospital. And those hospitals that are smaller, of which this district has quite a few, don't have the capacity and the overage to make sure that they have the ability to comply with all these regulations. And so as a result of that, they either A, don't provide the care that they need to, or it slows down the care that they can provide. And so you're either seeing less patients and getting less quality of care, or you're not providing it at all. There's a number of issues in hospitals. When a hospital in a town closes down, that destroys that economy.
About a hospital or a town?
When a hospital is not profitable and it ends up shutting down. So whether it's a critical access denominator or designator or chipping away at these regulations, I couldn't agree more that we have got to provide rural health care in a way that it's accessible for folks, that they can get appointments.
It seems that State Rep Drew Darby has accepted the idea, and he hasn't told me this, but this is based on his actions and the legislation that he's pushed through the Texas House. He's accepted the idea that a large nonprofit monopoly is a business model that you can move forward with and save or provide more rural healthcare opportunities.
Well, we haven't had that conversation. There's things that happen in the state legislature that need to remain there, and the federal government needs to stay out of them. And in the case of healthcare, where we have options for healthcare for insurance, and you have competition, and you can buy these plans across state lines, and you can do the right thing for your family, that's where the federal interaction comes in that we need to chip away at Obamacare.
Do you think Donald Trump really said those things about wounded heroes and our troops?
No, I don't. Of the candidates running for Congress in District 11, I was the only one that was actually fighting in combat when President Donald Trump took the oath of office. And immediately upon him swearing in, the military had the tools and the resources that we needed to get the job done. I saw that firsthand. It was night and day. He has supported the military. He has recapitalized
so you think
the military.
There's like 4 or 5 anonymous sources and very credible journalists?
You see anonymous sources, but then you also see sources that were there.
Like John
as
Bolton. in
the case of John Bolton, who's the national security advisor.
You believe John Bolton?
Who is not a Trump fan. I mean, just look at his book. But what we're really talking about right now is, does Donald Trump care for our troops? And the answer is absolutely, emphatically, yes, he does. And things that are taken either out of context or falsely written. I mean, we both know that there have been hundreds of examples of false accusations that then make it into the 24-hour news cycle that mischaracterize statements.
Disappear in a week.
And then they'll disappear within a week. So I know his heart for our troops. I know his heart for our families that support our veterans that support our active duty.
When you were working in the White House and for the time frame you were there, if that was going on, wouldn't someone have said something?
Absolutely.
You
had quite a few folks from Department of Defense wearing uniforms or serving in that capacity, as did I, we saw that. Let me just give you an example. A little over 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, there was an Iranian drone that was shot down from a U.S. ship, okay, in the Arabian Gulf. Immediately after that incident, which was a very complicated issue because of the rules of engagement,
right,
the president got on the phone with the captain of that ship, who was a captain, an 06,
right,
same rank as me, and told him, thank you for being able to make the decisions. You know what that captain said? He said, Mr. President, thank you for allowing me to do my job without any restraints. And he didn't mention the president before, but that's what he was referring to.
I'm Joe Hyde with San Angelo Live. This is August Pfluger. He's running for Congress as a Republican for Congressional District 11. Early voting starts in October, like October 13th.
October 13th. Voter registration ends on October 3rd.
What does?
The registration.
Okay, and then what about, we need to vote by mail, right? And that how it works?
We're suggesting that folks that want to vote by mail do that according to the original process with the absentee.
So you don't want wanton voting by mail. You want like over 65 and reasons.
As our process has been set up, that's exactly right.
So go early.
Go early.
And vote.
Go early.
And vote Republican.
And I would be honored to have your vote, August Pfluger for Congress.
Thank you very much.